just evil. Like, there's nothing like her.
Why would she even tweet that? Like, don't you have
I think she just sits around in her evil lair whenever she runs out of Eye of Newt and small children to boil.
Hillary Clinton is one of the most disgusting human beings on the planet.
Very much so.
Always has been, always will be, and will be inserting clips on her response to Benghazi several times throughout the interview. I want to show who she is.
Hillary Clinton is once again grabbing attention, but now it's not the press or her political rivals making waves, it's Tyrus, the ex-wrestling star turned commentator, shining a spotlight on what he calls the wild and untamed chapters of her past. He isn't just dredging up old controversies, he's turning them into a full-blown show, delivering a no-holds-barred roast that hurls viewers straight into the most outrageous and headline-grabbing moments of Hillary's history, like a wrestling smack that leaves the audience.
You kind of get why Bill did what he did. You know what I'm saying? Like, like, it's kind of like, again, I don't condone, cheating, but that's your morning.
Yeah.
You gotta kiss that before you go to bed at night, and then you gotta sleep with one eye open.
Yeah.
Because your buddy Epstein didn't off himself, and she has all this extra footage cut up in the closet. Like,
hit that like button and subscribe, because this is one you won't want to skip. Hillary Clinton marches back into the political arena, acting like it's her personal stage, flaunting a resume so sprawling it could rival a CBS billing statement, yet somehow failing to persuade anyone she's the leader they've been waiting for. It's almost remarkable decades of influence, a fortune that could fund a small country, and a network bursting with connections. And still her political journey plays out like the kid in gym class, who brags about being an athlete but can't even
hear things that we find so fundamentally hard to believe. I mean, I'm in that category. People say things like, oh, that could never happen, but having been a close observer now for quite a number of years of our current president, you have to suspend your disbelief. And you have to do two things simultaneously. You have to both listen to what he says, because he often telegraphs what.
This is the same woman who somehow transformed a loss to Donald Trump, Donald Trump into not just a political defeat, but a record-setting spectacle of epic embarrassment, a true Guinness-worthy flop for a seasoned politician. Picture devoting years to crafting your image, courting donors from Wall Street to Silicon Valley, and meticulously plotting your rise, only to crash spectacularly in the election because you skipped Wisconsin, the state of cheese and crucial swing voters, as if it were some optional square on a monopoly.
To believe it was a big naughty redhead that was going around, was going to ruin the world and do all kinds of bad things to us. Turns out the catfish was, hey, we don't boo here, but for this one time you may boo.
Of course, Hillary Clinton reigns supreme in contradictions, painting herself as a defender of the everyday worker while collecting paychecks from bankers that dwarf what most families earn in a month. Nothing screams champion of the people quite like pocketing $225,000 to give Goldman Sachs executives the pep talk they were craving. It's the political equivalent of strolling into a neighborhood barbecue in a caviar-strewn pantsuit and saying, "Relax, folks."
Tour for lying to the American people and ruining 2 years of Trump's presidency and affecting elections with Russiagate, impeachment, and fake dossiers. Oh yeah, let's not forget the P-tape. Turns out it was the Democrats and the lefty media peeing down our backs and telling it was rain.
Her political instincts, if they can even be called that, move with all the precision of a broken GPS, the kind that insists you turn left straight into a river, and you hesitate, wondering if somehow it knows more than you do. Hillary's career is that way. From Iraq to healthcare reform, she's consistently landed on the wrong side of history, only to pivot later and claim she evolved. Please, she just checked the polls at the last minute, like a student handing in a late essay and praying for partial credit.
Most unlikable candidate in the history of presidents, and that's saying a lot.
But Biden says the same thing.
He's number 2. When Biden says something, does anyone go like, oh?
Right.
No, they used to go, oh.
Asterisk, the emails, asterisk, the endless saga of secrecy, questionable choices, and political headaches. Hillary's private server was about as secure as a teenager's Tumblr, yet we were expected to believe it posed no threat. This wasn't a forgotten diary. It was the Secretary of State storing classified information on a setup any 12-year-old with a Hotmail account could have cracked, turning the State Department into AOL and hoping no one noticed. And then came Benghazi, the scandal that fueled countless hearings and cemented her reputation for enduring congressional interrogations with that deadpan, unflinching smirk, as if sheer patience could erase controversy. Her 2016 campaign was political malpractice in action. Democrats handed her the nomination like a family heirloom, ignoring that support for her was lukewarm at best. While her project inevitability strategy essentially, don't worry, I got this approach, focused more on curating a victory playlist than actually winning over swing state voters. And when the results rolled in, she looked genuinely stunned, as if democracy itself had personally let her down.
With the Hillary Clinton emails from a couple years ago saying how she should be in jail and all this other stuff. And it's just point to point to point to point exactly what just happened, proving once and for all it had absolutely nothing to do with Hillary Clinton's emails. It had everything to do with attacking Hillary Clinton, and these people are just so desperate for it that that's what they went for. And of course the hypocrisy is just out on stage for everybody to see.
And then came the excuses: Russia, Facebook memes, the FBI, Bernie Bros, sexism, James Comey, even Vladimir Putin's dog walker. Everyone and everything got the blame, except the one person actually running the campaign. Hillary's loss wasn't some vast conspiracy. It was the universe finally delivering the reality check she'd been sidestepping since the 90s. She spent years juggling China patterns, cleaning up bill scandals, and cultivating her own image as a political titan, all while managing to alienate half the women in America. With the infamous, "I suppose I could have stayed home and baked cookies" line, nothing screams relatable quite like sneering at domestic life while aiming for the Oval Office. She voted for the Iraq War, a decision that aged about as gracefully as milk in the sun, and when the fallout hit, she backpedaled, claiming she'd been misled. Sure, because when you're sending thousands of Americans into combat,
Tyrus, and this goes back to 2016, people were reluctant to talk to pollsters and say, I like Donald Trump. And now, fast forward 8 years later, essentially they're saying, if you like him, you're in a cult. Do you really want to be in a cult?
If the cult that Hillary doesn't like, yes, sign me in. What do I need? Is it a red hat?
111 AS Secretary of State, Hillary racked up travel miles like a frequent flyer obsessed with status, visiting over 100 countries and treating it as a mark of achievement, as if hopping from handshake to handshake somehow equaled diplomatic mastery. Let's be honest, jetting around the globe doesn't make you an effective negotiator. It just turns you into an expensive tourist with a government jet. Her attempts to charm younger voters were laughable, epitomized by the infamous "I carry hot sauce in my purse" moment. Campaigning for her felt like watching Windows 95 try to run TikTok. It simply didn't compute. Her speeches carried the warmth of a mandatory HR slideshow, full of bullet points, rehearsed gestures, and plastic smiles. She wanted to be the relatable, cool grandma winning hearts, but ended up more like a strict librarian catching you
Side or someone, she's just a very unlikable person and will say anything to get this attention. But here's the thing, it's changed. America has changed. We no longer listen to that stuff. Now when they say it, we go, that's why.
What makes Hillary truly intriguing is that she came armed with every advantage imaginable. Name political machine check. Deep pocket, decades of yet somehow, she still couldn't penetrate the invisible wall of public skepticism. Instead of inspiring confidence, she came across as calculated. Every move choreographed, every word vetted by focus groups. She wasn't a leader, she was a political algorithm spitting out perfectly tuned talking points. Then there's the dynasty factor. Americans aren't fond of monarchies. The Clintons, like the Bushes, project the notion that their family name guarantees power, and voters bristle at being handed a pre-selected heir. Hillary lingers like a spectral presence over the Democratic Party, occasionally reminding everyone she could have been president and, naturally, still believes she should have been. Her interviews exude a simmering bitterness, as if the nation collectively botched the election and owes her an apology. Reality check. Voters don't send apology notes for democracy.
Logic makes no sense, but why would she say it? You know, I mean, we can't just keep saying TDS. It's something else. It is, I think these are I think they're ego-damaged people.
Yeah.
Right? Doesn't make any sense.
Look, she was going to be the first woman president.
Yes.
And who
Keep saying TDS, it's something. It is. Look, these are ego-wounded individuals. Hillary was on track to be the first woman president, And yes, that would have been historic. If there's one thing she can't be denied, it's survival. Scandals, losses, mockery, she absorbs them like a political cockroach that refuses to die. Whitewater, Travelgate, Lewinsky, emails, Benghazi, one could have sunk another politician. Yet Hillary just keeps moving forward, chin held high, as if sheer persistence alone will finally hand her the crown she's chased since the 90s. Her legacy is tangled. She aimed to be a symbol of progress, the first female president, but instead became the embodiment of political disconnect, a cautionary tale of ambition overtaking authenticity. Decades later, we're still talking about Hillary Clinton, not because she inspires, but because she frustrates, a reminder that power without genuine connection is empty. Entitlement isn't a strategy, and even the most meticulously plotted campaigns can crumble when they forget the one thing democracy
should be in jail. Literally, Hillary Clinton should be behind bars. And so should the people who worked for her who did this. This is so blatantly corrupt. She wanted to distract from her email scandal. She cooked up a plan to accuse Trump of being a Russian agent in order to distract from her own legitimate scandal. She made up a scandal about Trump being a Russian.
Hillary Clinton aimed for history to remember her as a trailblazer, a fighter, the ultimate glass ceiling breaker. Instead, she's remembered as the woman who lost to Donald Trump, a cautionary tale for anyone who thinks inevitability guarantees victory. After all the speeches, scandals, battles, ambition, and relentless calculation, her legacy distills into one harsh punchline. She could have been president. She believed she should have been, but she wasn't. From Whitewater to Travelgate, almost everything in her orbit carries a gate. As if the family reunion game was who can stir up the juiciest scandal before dessert. Take Whitewater. The Arkansas real estate debacle from her early years, most Americans still don't fully grasp it. And that's precisely the point. When your business dealings are so convoluted and murky that even historians get headaches trying to untangle them. Maybe that's not the ideal launchpad for a presidential bid. It's like trying to invest in monopoly properties and somehow ending up with an FBI investigation.
Achievement Trump ever did when they read the history books. It'll be like, maybe there'll be these wars will be solved, an economy, but then there'll be a two-page spread on how he beat Hillary and how that will always be. He'll be on Mount Rushmore for that. They should do like called a Mount Trump, where they have the heads of the people he beat. So they've already got Hillary, and they got Kamala, and then maybe he can run again. You know, we still don't know, right?
One of his best lines ever was when he was first elected, and the people around him said, "We got to go for Hillary now. Lock her up, lock her up." And he said, "Nah, just let it go. She lost. She's going to have to live with that."
Beacon of philanthropy, sure. It accomplished some good, but it was tangled up with speaking fees, foreign donations, and handshakes with world leaders who seemed to discover their charitable side only when it served their interests. Once Hillary's political clout faded, that generosity conveniently evaporated. People weren't donating to save the world. They were buying access. Charity had morphed into a political vending machine. Insert a check, receive a favor, and then there's Uranium One, a saga straight out of a B-grade James Bond plot, where a Russian company gained control of uranium with the blessing of Hillary's State Department. Even ignoring the wild conspiracy theories, the optics were disastrous. Hillary's greatest flaw has always been her inability to read the room. Take the infamous
Haggard old woman. I ran against her in 2006 for the Senate. She was riding high. She was going to be the first woman president. The world was at her feet, and now look at her.
Yeah, is that the greatest?
I mean, you don't even want to look at her.
The greatest achievement Trump ever did when they read the history books. It'll be like, maybe there'll be these wars will be solved, an economy, but then there'll be a two-page spread on how he beat Hillary and how that will always be. He'll be on Mount.
Hillary Clinton aimed for history to remember her as a trailblazer, a fighter, the ultimate glass ceiling breaker. Instead, she's remembered as the woman who lost to Donald Trump, a cautionary tale for anyone who thinks inevitability guarantees victory. After all the speeches, scandals, battles, ambition, and relentless calculation, her legacy distills into one harsh punchline. She could have been president. She believed she should have been, but she wasn't. From Whitewater to Travelgate, almost everything in her orbit carries a gate. As if the family reunion game was who can stir up the juiciest scandal before dessert. Take Whitewater. The Arkansas real estate debacle from her early years, most Americans still don't fully grasp it. And that's precisely the point. When your business dealings are so convoluted and murky that even historians get headaches trying to untangle them. Maybe that's not the ideal launchpad for a presidential bid. It's like trying to invest in monopoly properties and somehow ending up with an FBI investigation.